Oh, let's, I talked about bytecode, so let me just kind of show you. Remember yesterday, has this been off the whole time?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you tell me?
I think we were all just following along with the slides.
Oh, okay. Man. I mean, I'm watching it here. Okay, all right, so yesterday, if you remember, I created our hello world in there, and then if you remember, I compiled it and put it in a subdirectory called build, and then what it did is it put it in the same directory structure, and then this is the bytecode right here. This is the class file that it created, and this is what we actually run. So if I'm let's see, are you gonna? Actually, if I can, okay, there is something that I'm skipping over a little bit, but we're going to kind of circle back. It's something that the ID kind of hides, but is kind of important to understand about what's going under the hood. There's a thing called a class path, and the class path is where the Java virtual machine finds its class files. And I think by default, actually I haven't tested that, I probably should have. If I'm in the directory, see, I'm in the directory right above where the class files were. So there's the class file. And so if I run the virtual machine from there, it actually works. But if I run it from somewhere else, so if I go up one directory and I try to do the same thing, it says it can't find it. Okay, so now why couldn't it find it? It couldn't find it because it was looking on the class path. And by default, the class path is the current directory. But what I can do is I can actually override that by saying use this class path, and here I'm pointing it to build, and I'm saying, okay, here's the class path is actually literally a path. I can give it a list of places to look, and the ID will kind of see that. So a lot of that is going on under the hood in NetBeans. So and it's important to understand that. Okay, so I did. Now I've gotten through the material. What I want to do now, and yeah, I am recording. I want to go through again, and there's a video on this as well. I've already given you your first assignment. I don't know if you've noticed it, but let me point it out to you just in case. Here in assignments, here's assignment 1. It should be showing for you, and basically there's a Word document handout. Like for some reason, it tends to work out better for me if I just have a Word attachment for it. So, and basically the assignment there is to make sure that Java and NetBeans are installed, but the tricky part is going to be creating your first project and hooking it up to GitLab. So GitLab, how do we do GitLab? Well, what you do is you go to gitlab.nps.edu, and and if you have you all have an NPS account. And so what you want to, don't log in here. Down here where it says NPS account, you click on that. And then in this case, I'm already logged into NPS. But if you aren't, then it'll ask you to log in with your NPS credentials. And that will bring you to And now in your case, it's going to be, you're not going to see anything. Here, like I have a bazillion of these projects. So as you can tell, I use GitLab a lot, both for the class, for my own work, for work with projects. There are a ton of these. So, so I'm not, how should I say, like one criterion that I apply, and probably you too as well, is the principle of eating your own dog food. So if I'm telling you to do something or use this tool and I'm not using it, then aren't I being a little hypocritical? So if this is really the best thing, then why aren't I using it? And GitLab is something that I use a lot. So or the other, the other thing that they say is, turn off the sound and watch the pictures. So not what they say, it's what they do. So this is what I do. So here, I'll create a new project just to kind of show you. So you say new project, and then all we need is just a blank project, and we'll give it a name. Okay, so I'll just call it CS2173. I think I asked you to just call it CS2173. That's important because what I, at the end of this, when you create your project, you'll also add me as a developer. And so what that will allow me to do is to clone or download your projects, so I'll be able to grade them. So I think you all need to grade your projects. And I have a script that assumes that the name is going to be CS2173. So if you call this something else, my script won't be able to find it. Okay, so now you want to make it private. And initializing a README is actually always a good idea. So all the default, now a name or user space, what I would just do is just pick your user name. Oops. Pick a username there. And that's also important because my script uses your username, assumes that your username is the one there. Okay. So create the project. So there it is. Okay, and so there's just kind of a README there. That's all we have. So the way that we're going to connect with that, there are actually at least a couple ways of connecting with it. There are applications you can have that use GitLab. You can do it all from the command line. I'm so old school, I do a lot of things from the command line. But one of the neat things about NetBeans is that it has Git capabilities built in. So now, so the next step is to go to NetBeans and create a project. Now, the project you want to, like when it comes up, it'll look like this. They have Java with Maven, Gavin Gradle, all this sort of stuff. You can even do C and C++ and all this other stuff. Again, just sort of feature bloat. We want Java with Ant. That's what you want. Java with Ant. And then you want a Java class library, not an application. With an application, it's going to put in some extra stuff. We don't need that. Okay, Java class library, and then say next. And then now you want to give it a name. Now in your case, here's where you can call it anything that you want. Just kind of calling it CS2173 is perfectly fine. In this case, it wants to put it in NetBeans projects, but I can put it somewhere else. So if you want to browse somewhere else to put it, then you can do it there. If you're on Windows, it'll bring up a little file chooser where you can put it wherever you want. I'll just leave it where it is. And okay, so this is what it creates. Oh drat! Let me just double check something. Oh yeah, here, huh? I screwed up. Okay, now if Okay, I'm gonna delete this and start again. Because okay, down here where it says use dedicated folder for storing libraries, you want to check that. Why? Because later on in the course, when we start, we will be using, we may be using a third-party library. If not this quarter, then next quarter, we definitely will. And this is, having it like this is going to make it easy to do that. If you don't do this, it makes it hard. Okay, so let's finish that. So here's what we have. So we have our source packages, and our libraries. So currently, all we'll need until we start using third-party ones is the JDK. So here's, in this case, the current JDK. Now, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna do the hello world again, because the first thing you do on any new thing is the hello world. So the first thing is we want to create a new Java package. And the Java package that I want you to create is called CS2173, all in lowercase. This is, if you make it uppercase, Java will let you do it, but there are naming conventions in every language. The naming conventions in Java are that packages use lowercase. You can have lowercase and numbers, so that's what it is. There are also naming conventions for variables and class names and stuff. We'll all kind of look at that. So notice what it does is it actually creates the folder. Okay, remember that source code has to go, the class has to go into the right folder. And so, all right, so now let's create our hello world. We want a new Java main class. Okay, they give us Java class, a Java interface, blah, 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 blah. They don't have it there. Okay, so if they don't have it there, we hit other, and then we have a bunch more things. So there it is, Java main class. So choose Java main class, and you'll see why that is useful. All right, now we want to give it a name. Okay, we'll do the hello world. That was the original C one, and double check that we are putting it into the CS2173 package. Okay, one thing, it is in Java, the Java will let you do this, but it is a state of sin to put your code in an unnamed package. And in fact, if you try to, NetBeans will complain at you, but it'll let you do it, it'll complain. But if you do it here, I'll do more than complain, so, all right. So then, as we can see, it puts all this cruft at the top, but notice that it has pretty much done things that we had to type in. It starts with this package that we typed in from the code. Public class hello world, that's something we created. Public static void main, and then string array, and then so it creates all of that for us. And so all we have to do is put in our code. And then notice it, the thing about IDEs is, let's see, is that they do a lot of stuff for us, okay? That's really nice. They have color-coded things. Notice that they've written a lot of this thing for us. Now, to run it, actually one way we can run, I can just sort of right-click somewhere and say run file. And then there it is. Okay, so we've created our project, and now the next step is we're going to initialize a local Git repository. How do we do that? Well, I want to select the top of the project. I do everything in Git. I do from the top of the project. You can do it from the sub things, but that's not a good idea. And in this case, let's see, there are a couple ways of doing it. I can right-click and choose versioning. And then they actually have Git, Mercurial, and Subversion. Those are both very good ones, but Git is what everybody uses these days. So initialize Git repository, and then it suggests you just okay that. And then what will come up is, now notice that Hello World is in green, which means that it hasn't been added. So, or, I mean, it's been added but not committed. Okay, what does all that mean? It means that we haven't told Git that this is really what we want. But before we do that, we want to go back to our GitLab online. And actually, the first thing what we need to do is we need to create an access token. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So up here, kind of around here on yours, is if you click that, that's going to take you to your profile. And then from there, let's see, where is it? Oops, no. Okay, under settings, settings, access tokens. So you choose an access, well, no, that isn't. Well, it's better activity, snippets. They changed this all around for me, on me. Edit profile. Access token. So yeah, so edit the profile and choose access tokens. As you see, I have a number of tokens here. We want to add a new token because you're going to need a new token. So I'll do that. They've added this expiration date, so but let's at least give it a little bit more time on the expiration. And we want an API that'll do everything. So when I create it, and then what it does is it kind of makes this gobbledygook thing. And the trick is that this is the only, once I leave this page, it's going to go away. So unfortunately, what one has to do is typically copy it and then maybe kind of save it in a safe place somewhere. Make this plain text, sort of paste it in. Now, okay, so now what we need to do is go back to our project and clone it. Well, actually not, no, we don't need to clone it. We need to go back to NetBeans and we need to pull it. So back at NetBeans, we right-click at the top of our project, and now there's an item on our menu called Git Remote Pull. So what we're going to do is Git Remote Pull, and then we want to give the repository URL. So this is where we need to go back and clone. Say clone, but then clone with HTTPS. We copy that and then go back to NetBeans and paste that URL in. Now the user will be your NPS username, but the password will be that access token that you created. So I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to paste it in here and make sure that you click on Save Password, and that means if you do that once, then you won't have to remember anything else. Okay, so next I want to say you want to make sure you select this and then finish. And then what it's done is it's actually downloaded. See that? Remember that little README it created, and it has all this cruft in it. You can probably delete at some point. Okay. So now now we need to do two things. Now once you do this, you don't have to do that pulling again. But what you need to do is first you need to commit your local stuff. And so I right click at the top of the project, I say git commit. And then now all the stuff in green, those are all the things I'm committing. And what I'm committing is I'm committing locally to my machine. This is only doing it on my machine. Okay, so this is just the hello world. You want to put a little commit message in. You don't want to put a big long comment in, but just kind of what was this commit about? And I say commit. It's going to whir for a little bit. And then now notice that hello world is now black and not green. Well, that means that it has been committed. It's been committed, but then if we go back to our GitLab online, nothing has changed. Why? Because when we commit, you commit locally. That just changed it on my machine. So how do I, the way that this is going to work now is that I'm going to do a bunch of development. I'm going to, maybe do some more editing. I'll kind of add more classes, edit the classes, change them, test them, make sure it's working. Once it's all working the way I like it, then I'm going to commit it locally, and then I'm going to push it. And pushing it is going to move it from my machine to GitLab. And how do I do that? I right click, I say git remote push. And now, okay, here I'm pushing to this one that I've done. And then now notice that, say master, the U means it's going to be updated. And this is going to be for the remote. And then when I hit that and it finishes processing, now when I refresh, this is all the stuff I just did. So here's my code. Here's what I wrote. And then here's a bunch of other stuff. So it's like, it's got this XML file. It's got these things in here. It's got this sort of lib thing. But now, what I've done locally is on GitLab. And when you do that, that's how you're going to submit your projects.